Let's face it, capitalism today is under siege. Make no mistake about it. Money is first and foremost about freedom. It's not about acquiring things, getting this new car or this new jet or this new plane. It's about having the freedom to do whatever the fuck you want, whenever you want, without being accountable to any president, to any corporation, to any boss, to anyone. This is what capitalism is all about. It provides you with freedom. It's all about wealth creation. So, why are we here? That's the key question. Why are we here away from our work, trying to spend some time here together, building something? Look, the problem today is that a lot of people are bitching about the economy, about the state of affairs. I'm not going to go through everything in this country. Very few have solutions, whether they are Republicans or Democrats. We're not a political organization. We're a capitalistic organization trying to find solutions to very thorny issues on both sides. This series of webinar is to brainstorm solutions. But then it's up to you, up to us, to promote the solutions on the web, through articles, through blogs, through interviews, through events, etc., etc. We can talk about it forever. If we don't promote the organization and ourselves as solution providers, we're doing nothing. It's a waste of time. We're spinning our wheels. This is not an academic organization. We're not in college here. This is an organization where most of the people are entrepreneurs in the trenches, making money, creating a future, creating opportunities, and have a real life experience. This is not something we read in books. It goes, at least for me, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys. This is why you were carefully chosen, all of you, and this is why you accepted, all of you, because you get it. And the people who don't accept it, they don't want to do any work, they don't want to stay in their corner, and they're not getting it. They're lost. Financial Policy Council has been in business for 11 years. We've made a lot of inroads. We wrote tons of stuff. We are a factor. I know that by the number of interviews I have, and I'm sure you have too. This is what we're here for, to find solution among entrepreneurs who have different experiences and share them with the world and empower people. Because success is all about empowering people. This is how we're going to get somewhere. We may not agree, that's fine. If two people agree on everything, one of them is not needed. This is not a question of agreeing. This is a question of finding the most creative, smartest solution. This is really what we're here for, is to become an influencer. I want every one of you to be an influencer. The more influencers we have, the more impact we're gonna have. The more impact we're gonna have, the more opportunities we're gonna have. Business is gonna come your way. I have tons of business coming my way because of what I'm doing, because of what I stand for, which sometimes is controversial, but at least people know where I stand. And people like to deal with people, you know, who are very straight and very direct. knowing where they're going. There is a lack of leadership today. Most of the people are followers. We don't want to create followers. We want to create other leaders, especially the next generation. That's all what I have to say. This is not a speech. I'm not long into speeches. I'm long on action, short on speeches. But I think this is the foundation. This is what we're here for. There's nothing in being a capitalist, in empowering people, in creating opportunities, in having power. Nothing wrong. The government wants you to think that this is not how it should be. You should obey and shut the fuck up and do what you're told. You will never get anywhere by doing that. You cannot rely on any boss, any corporation, any government. You have to rely on yourself. And I'm talking about either government, right or left, socialist, Republican, Democrat. Governments are not here to make you rich. Governments in general are here to contain you. They don't want you to be rich, powerful, and making a difference. They want you to shut up and obey. Very simple. All this stuff today about jobs. Let's create more jobs. We created X jobs, we've lost Y jobs. And I said it recently in an interview. This is not about jobs. In my opinion, government's job is to create an environment that's conducive for wealth creation, for people, to create opportunities, not jobs, factory workers, and robots. They even teach you this at the most elite business colleges, Harvard, Wharton, Stanford. Just shut up, obey, you're a robot, do your work, you're just a number in the factory. This is not what we are for. This is not what we stand for here at the Financial Policy Council. We want to have 1,000 people, entrepreneurs, influencers to make a difference. Once we get there, it's not that we've made it, we become dangerous. And that's what you want to be in life, at least for me. If you're not dangerous, you're nothing, you're irrelevant. You don't matter. You don't matter what you say, what you write, what you do. That's how I'd like to close and leave it to Stan.
As Ziad said, the goals of the FPC is to ensure that we safeguard America's and the world retain an economic regulatory system which is conducive to economic growth and wealth creation. Unfortunately, the government is not doing that. In fact, they're probably in direct contradiction to the goals of the FPC. And so we get together to discuss some of the issues in the hope that in discussing the issues and in making money as we find solutions to those issues, that we'll be able to influence our government to change their policies, to reformulate policies so that the reaction that they have to the issues that America faces do in fact work. To date, the policies of our current government are not working. And so we are gathering here today to discuss some of the issues and also to review how it is that a business person or a person who's first coming to become a business person starts to make money so that they can have enough money to influence policy. Because if you look at how our government works, all governments work, policy is determined by those who have the money to influence the people who affect the environment within which we work. What I'd like to do is for—
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'd like to add one more thing here based on what Stan said.
Yeah.
We have a lot of followers. Don't underestimate this. We have over 200,000 followers all over the globe. Every video we post, check out my YouTube channel, is viewed on average by 30,000 viewers. So it's not like we're talking to the wall here. I mean, we have a lot of followers. We have a lot of people who were corporate people, now they became entrepreneurs. Because of what we do, because of what we preach, because of what we write, etc. One man can make a difference. 1,000 people can make a much bigger difference. I believe in that. I believe in that very much. It's not like, oh, people tell me, so what do you think? You're going to change it? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm not where I am today by mistake, but by being a very stubborn guy who believes in what I do. As Winston Churchill used to say, it's okay if you have enemies. We have lots of enemies, I know that, who don't like what we do, but that's fine. At least you stood for something. You're standing for something, whether enemies or friends. And frankly, I don't care if we are loved or if we are hated. Even if we're hated, I'll tell you why. Because people who hate you, eventually, once they get to really know you, they're gonna love you. They may, but they will love you. I don't care about love or hate. You know what's the worst? It's not love or hate. It's indifference. When you are nothing but dust in the wind, nobody gives a shit what you say or what you write or what you do. That's the worst feeling. It's not love or hate. If you're going under their skin, they love you or hate you, that's fine. But don't be indifferent. I mean, you don't want to be indifferent. You don't want to feel that you're indifferent. It doesn't matter what you say. No, it matters. And if we can create an army like this, we will make a difference. We are already making a difference. I don't want to take this to the next level. FPC 2.0, we passed our first decade, despite all the challenges, despite all the administrations who are not very much pro our policies. And now we're going to the next one. So never surrender, never surrender, never surrender. You can make a difference. We have followers, we have a base, we have principles. The key is to expand this, is to bring in more people who think like this, with your help, more influencers, and make a difference. You can have all the fucking money in the world. I know a lot of hedge fund guys, they manage billions. They have zero influence. Nobody cares what they say. That's pathetic, frankly. They made all this money for what? To sit down and listen to this guy or that guy pontificating. That's the worst feeling. I don't want to ever be in a position like this. It's not the money. It's basically, at the end of the day, what you're saying and what impact you're having, how many people you've inspired, how many people you've empowered. That's what matters. This is what the financial policy council is about. And you know what? There is no non-profit organization like this. None. We are fiercely independent. We're not bankrolled by any interest group. We say what we want, which is not academia. You know, all these academics, all bullshit. Academics, bankers, lawyers, it's all bullshit. They have no skin in the game. They don't understand what risk is. They don't go very far. We're not like this. We're exactly the opposite. And there is no organization like this. I'm telling you, I've done my homework. None. So that's how I'd like to close. Sorry to interrupt, Stan. Please go ahead.
It's all right. Feel free to interrupt anytime. You will anyway, even if I don't give you permission to do so. Feel free to do so. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to, just go to the various members of this group, have them introduce themselves, 2 or 3 minutes, give us a quick.
Oh, we have Vlad and Harry. Hi, guys. Nice seeing you.
Hello.
Hi,
Harry.
Harry. Hi, Vlad.
Very dapper, white. Oh my God. Where are you, at the White House?
So let me start off and I'll tell you a little about me. I'm Stan Silverman. I'm a member of the FPC board. I'm also moderator of the Project Liberty groups for the Financial Policy Council. I am the founder of 3 advertising agencies and 2 hedge funds, right? And it is my goal to change lives. I have a keen interest in helping people to change their lives by involving myself in the activities of the FPC and in this Project Liberty group. I'd like to think of myself as an entrepreneur, an activist, a disruptor for sure, an out-of-the-box thinker. I believe that if you put out the effort, that the results will follow, and the world will be changed by your efforts and the torch that you light for the people who follow you. I have a lot of interests, but my major time consumption is spent with Financial Policy Council and working on our projects, as well as studying Indian philosophy, photography, as well as going to the opera and doing charity work. Now that I've given my little background, why don't we jump in? Stefan, why don't you give us a little profile on you?
Running on low bandwidth. Yeah, Steve and me, lifelong entrepreneur. I joke I've never had a job, but that's primarily because I'm unhirable. I learned that many years later. I went in financial services in my early 20s and did a lot of psychological profile testing as we were training people. And I don't conform to the employee mentality of fitting in a box. So started 11 companies in total. Some others we don't really count. 3 public, OTC, so never full IPO. I don't like being in the system that long. And 5 companies. We're actually the first one in the world to ever do something, which is interesting. One of them I started in '96, was the precursor to what became PayPal and Shopify. We built some of the world's first shopping carts and convinced Visa to change the laws to do internet order processing, which used to be illegal. People don't remember back that far. And currently a lot of blockchain, crypto, DeFi, help write the laws in Malta, advised on some stuff in Bermuda recently. And the project we're trying to launch out here will be the world's first, as far as we know. We've got a digital bank for non-cash trading. The largest companies and countries in the world trade assets without using cash. It's corporate barter, offset, swaps, flips, goes by a bunch of different names. We've built an internal asset-backed credit system, sell assets, get digital credits, buy other assets, never converts to cash. So a lot with companies in big countries and try and do things nobody's ever done before. Thanks, Stanford.
Thank you. Now let's go on, and Luke, if you could give us a little background. Luke is the Eddie Merrickx, of the Financial Policy Council. As a way of introduction, Eddie Merrickx is the greatest cyclist of all time, and Luke has electrified the business. So Luke, why don't you give us a little background on you?
Stanford, that's very nice. Thank you. Sorry there. Stanford, that's very nice of you. Thank you. So my name is Luke. I'm a native Manhattanite, if you will. And I started my career in finance, working the investment banking route at UBS. From there, I graduated, quote unquote, onto the buy side. And I was at a fund investing in renewable energy technologies, which led me down the route of discovering battery technology. From there, I was introduced to a colleague who also was very passionate about the space. And we discovered an e-bike company that was in its very infancy down in Brazil. And they had a couple thousand bikes on the road and just a very kind of cult-like following behind it. Through some financial analysis and creativity, we can say, we acquired this company with the full extent of taking it global and expanding its not only its reach, but it also the bike's capabilities and the app's capabilities, the software behind it. From there, we've built out a team of about 25 people on 3 continents. And we have 2 new versions of the bike coming out this year. One's a cargo bike and one's just a more advanced, higher end version. And we're very excited about the future of everything being electrified, and also the freedom and mobility which an e-bike brings to all different types of people with all different backgrounds in different cities, different states, leisure or pleasure or work or commuting. So we really have a lot of conviction in the space, and we're excited to see where it goes.
Thanks, Luke. Why don't you take it, Raul?
Sorry, I just need to get myself off mute there. Great to meet everybody. Raul Davis. CEO of the Ascending Group. We focus on this whole idea that business is not just B2B or B2C, but it's age to age, human to human. So we do that through CEO branding. We're ranked the #1 minority-owned PR firm in the country, top 5 branding agencies worldwide. Work with CEOs on every continent except for Antarctica, but if you know anybody there, let me know. From Long Island originally. Finished high school with a 1.8 GPA. My dad told me if I didn't get a 3.0 my freshman year in college, he wouldn't pay for year 2. I magically got a 3.0. And that was a moment where I learned about the potential of human performance, which has been a big passion of mine. Got my master's in public administration, but went into business and entrepreneur, go figure. Met Ziad a few years ago on Twitter, reached out to him about potentially working together. He went on to tell me all the reasons that he shouldn't have worked with me. But a few years later, worked with him on his last book, helped him design his website, and learned a great deal from him. So happy to be a part of the group.
My pleasure, my pleasure. It's really great to have you here, Raul.
And now let's hear from one of the master influencers, a person who helps other people to get into a position where they can change the world. And we're talking about you, Angela.
That was a very nice introduction, Stanford. Thank you. I'm really intrigued by everything I've heard so far. So it's a pleasure to be here. My name's Angela Cooperman. I would say, you know, I'm first a mother. That's my role, is I'm first a mother. I am a single mom, and I became a single mom recently after almost 2 decades. And I was a mother at a very young age. So I had to really switch gears pretty quickly after my divorce. And I only finished 2 years of college. And so basically I was challenged with what career can I begin without a lot of formal education. And I had been doing some volunteer work during my time as a mom, and I built up relationships and really honed in on the skill of networking. And so I can tell you that I've never interviewed for a job ever. And so everything that I've been able to do in the past several years, I've done because of the people that I've met and the work that I've done with them. So I am a licensed real estate agent. I'm also entrenched in the world of politics. And I know that this Zoom call, we're not talking about politics, so I'll stay away from that.
No,
But
I'm sorry, Angela, you can talk a bit about your involvement in politics.
Okay.
There, because you have a lot of experience there, which is helpful for all of us.
Well, thank you. You know, and I think politics is very similar to marketing and sales, because basically, you know, a candidate is a brand. So you're building up a brand, you're bringing awareness to the brand, you're creating name ID, and then you're working to get that person elected. And so there's a lot that goes into a campaign. So I'm currently the campaign manager for a gubernatorial candidate in Minnesota. And we have a very good chance of winning. We are cautiously optimistic, but you know, all the intricacies of a campaign, it's really everything from marketing, building that brand, creating awareness, creating messaging, you know, appealing to a broad audience. You know, I think in the world of politics right now, it's very polarizing. And I think there are a lot of people on both sides of the aisle that want to move closer to just the middle. They want to get away from the edges, because the edges on either side are not good. And I am a capitalist. I love this group. I love everything that it stands for. I will only work with candidates who are also capitalists. That is something that, so I have a firm, a political consulting firm. More recently, I'm trying to form a cryptocurrency NFT arm of my firm. Ziad gave me very good advice a few weeks ago. He told me to own the politicians, that they should not own me. So I am going after them, and I'm creating an arm that they probably don't know how to utilize for a campaign. But my candidate was the first political candidate, I believe, in the country that offered an NFT as a form of fundraising. And we successfully—
I love it, Angela. I love it.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yes. Girl.
Thank you.
Oh,
So we were excited to do that.
Yeah.
So I'll be quiet now, but thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Angela, of course.
Thanks, Angela. Why don't we talk to our next Sean? Sean is a social media expert, a disruptor, a person who wears many different hats, and is a guy who's really intense and does his homework. So Sean, you're on.
Thank you very much, Stanford. My name is Sean Prober. Started my career in psychology, got my master's in that, and got into, amongst other things, jury research, which was really where I started to have a love for marketing. There was a special incentive if we were able to find new clients, and kind of fell in love with marketing. Now I am about 2 years into owning my own marketing company. We do a lot of publishing as well, and just constantly expanding and trying to find the next interesting thing. We're trying to build up the publishing more and more, which is the really exciting part to me. Yeah, I think that's short and sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Alicia, Ali, why don't you, give us a shot, a mother, entrepreneur, right? A talented young woman, up and coming in the business world. Tell us a little about you, Ali.
Sure. Yep. Also, I'm a mother first. So that is a huge part of my life. I do have one son who is 14, who is on the autism spectrum, as well as type 1 diabetic. So a lot of my young 20s were spent advocating for him and really trying to understand our public school systems, how it can be the most effective for those kids. 14 years ago, autism was not really something that was discussed openly. Was kind of a taboo subject, a lot of, just heat and stuff like that going around about it. So definitely started a lot of my first beginning years of life in that area. Also as a photographer, which that's really interesting, even that you bring up NFTs too, because that's kind of a new area that I've been exploring as well, and how we can expand on these old marketing ideas and things that we were successful at, and how we can continue to push those towards the future. And then I moved to a hemp company, and I've been in hemp for the last 6 years, about 6.5 years. And I apologize, that is my son. But for the last 6.5 years, before hemp was legal, so was a large part of it becoming legalized. How do we bring it to people who need it? How do we get it into the hands of the people who can utilize it the best? And I've been in that space since then, and been working into the expansion of psychedelics and how mushrooms and things like that can be infiltrated into that, simply to kind of put health and wellness back into the hands of people. And the hemp company was one of the top 5 hemp companies for the first 6 years that it ran, which I'm very, very proud of. And, the director of customer care, so helped build their customer service teams, and just spent a lot of time in between consumers and large companies, especially one being built from a friend's basement to a $189 million acquisition with Pepsi. So that's kind of the basis of where I've been and where we're headed.
Great to have you on board, Alicia.
Our next person is Eric Moniz. Eric is the youngest a member of the Financial Policy Council Project Liberty Group. Out of college, he started his own businesses. He's an expert in social media. He's aggressive. He works very hard, and he's probably the only eligible bachelor in the Financial Policy Council. Because Ziad, you're no longer eligible.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. Go ahead. Go ahead. That's wrong. Go ahead, Eric.
Thank you, Stan. Well, first off, my name is Eric Wanayan, very enthusiastic part of Project Liberty. Very happy to be here and very happy to continue to meet new people on this group. So to bring it back a little bit, I initially started my digital marketing agency in college while I was working another job. And basically there was a conference going on and I was dying to go to this conference. It was all about digital marketing, everything I was just starting out with. And I went to work and I said, I'm going to need these days off. And they said, no. That day forward, quit. I was out, jumped into my digital marketing agency full time, never looked back. So that was my real start of just kind of telling everybody to just kind of screw off and I'm going to make it work. So from there on, actively trading, foreign exchange, cryptocurrency. And as the time went by, getting heavily involved in blockchain technology, currently in the process of designing and implementing blockchain security into a company, but also really trying to find an answer for people to turn to, because in the current space of blockchain, it's very, very lacking in security. I personally know people who have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars due to scams or other stuff like that. So I really want to be able to make a difference with my partner and find a solution to that people can trust. On top of that, we are also in the process of building out a solar company that's using advanced technology to really offer new kinds of solar solutions to people all over the United States. So we're currently in the process of building that out, marketing it, and just growing it from there. On top of that, I'm also actively involved in my local area, heavily involved in the Stanford Chamber of Commerce. We just started a subsection, which is called HYPE, which stands for Helping Young Professionals Excel, where basically we're bringing in the entire, demographic of people kind of around me and in that area that are just coming out of COVID and looking to get involved in more business type activities and really network and meet people, because your network is your net worth. So that's
Thank you, Eric.
that's it.
Spoken like a true capitalist, Eric. I love you, brother. Spoken
you,
like
Ziad.
a true capitalist. I love it. I love it. Go kick some ass.
Before I introduce our two standing board members, I'd like to introduce you to Hiba, our executive director. Not only is Hiba the young lady who coordinates these meetings and runs it out of Lebanon. And so if we all go down, it's because Lebanon has shut off her electricity. But Hiba has a very interesting insights in what's going on around the world. She's a world traveler. She's on her way to Mexico for 6 weeks. And Hiba, why don't you say a few words about your background and what you do?
Yeah, hello everyone, and happy to see you all here anyway. So my name is Hiba Osairan, and I'm a mom of 3 kids as well. I started my journey as a graphic designer, and then I shifted to something completely different, which is a nonprofit organization advisor. So I do strategies and planning for awareness campaigns, etc. I'm also a social activist and butterfly, so I love to connect with other, circles of network everywhere. I'm a co-founder also for a nonprofit organization that deals with people suffering from multiple sclerosis. For the last 10 years, we have about 2,000 patients. I'm also a fundraiser, also educational fundraiser. So I secure funds for scholarships and bricks and mortars. So I connect with CEOs abroad and here in Lebanon. Actually, now, as you know, I'm currently serve as the Financial Policy Council Director, and thank you to Ziad for giving me this opportunity. I met Ziad actually through Facebook and social media. I was really very impressed. That was like maybe 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I was following him on Facebook, and I was impressed that he's Lebanese. And since then, I was in contact with him on and off until he started the Z-Shark group. And I was totally taken by his thoughts and the way he changes lives and changes character. He will guide you to somewhere really beautiful.
Did you say that Ziad was a character?
And
Always,
actually,
always. We'll never change.
talk about the difference
Thank you, Hiba.
about
Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce you to the Jeff Bezos of FinTech, a man who is renowned for his capabilities in the financial tech business, a man who travels so much that he'll never get to spend all the money that he's going to make. With that, I'd like to introduce you to our board member, Vladimir, and secretary or treasurer of the Financial Policy Council. Vladimir, why don't you take it?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Stanford. I'm not sure if what I can what I can add to that. So I started my career back in the year 2000 when I graduated from the London School of Economics in the UK. I joined private equity fund at first, so worked about 6 years in a private equity fund. Had a management buyout in my 6th year at the private equity fund, and then a mini exit. So I was able to package a business that was actually a publishing business and sell it to a Japanese conglomerate. After that, I wanted to take things a bit easier, and I joined consulting. So spent about 10 years plus in 3 out of the 4 big 4 firms. Started off KPMG in London, and then moved to San Francisco with EY and then PwC. Co-founded and co-led the fintech practice at PwC. And then about 6 years ago, I think, I'm not sure, 6 years ago, I left consulting, and that was the best decision I've ever made in my life. With that, I founded mBank. So I'm currently the founder and CEO of mBank, and working in mostly neobanks or challenger banks, trying to help them become successful in the United States market specifically. So I've been doing that for quite some time. We have 160 plus people, about 70 financial institutions that run our software. And for most of them, we provide services as well. So the kind of stuff, fun stuff that we do includes banking as a service. We do dispute resolution as a service, now lending as a service. So almost anything that you can imagine as far as the financial products and services are concerned as a service. I'm based, most of our business is in California, but I recently moved out of California. Now I'm based in a beautiful city of Bellevue, Washington. Nice to be here, and once again, I wish this group grew bigger, and I'm definitely trying to help it to grow bigger. And thank you very much for Stanford and Ziad for such good leadership.
Thank you. Thanks, Vlad. Last but not least, I want to introduce you Dr. Harry Aspinall. Harry is a co-founder of the Financial Policy Council with Ziad. Harry is an international traveler. He's a banker. He's humanitarian. He's an educator. He does extensive business in India, and he's a real asset to the FPC. Harry, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Stanford. I think you made the summary of the introduction already, but I appreciate it. I admire Ziad, and he's the one coached me, and I was one of the first members joining Financial Policy Council. I was serving as the vice president for the last 10 plus years on the Financial Policy Council. Primarily, I worked on Wall Street for 4 major banks in different capacities in the technology field initially. Credit Suisse, Merrill Lynch, BlackRock, and left Bank of New York Mellon, being coached by Ziad, and wanted to be independent. And recently we started a metaverse private equity fund. I've been traveling extensively promoting that fund. Just returned back from Monaco, attending a family office summit. I'm here. Anything that I can offer you guys, I'm here to support you whatever way I can. But I am a compassionate capitalist, would prefer to have inclusive, sustainable development, not just individual development, but let's take people along. And that's what we've been promoting through Financial Policy Council. And we've been very successful in doing that. And welcome, and look forward to working with you all.
Thank you so much, Harry. I'd like to say something here. I mean, look at the breadth and depth of this group. Absolutely amazing. All capitalists, all entrepreneurs, younger, older, you name it. Think about if we can create a group, build this group to be 1,000 members, we become dangerous. This is how you really build a powerhouse. It's possible. We have a lot of followers. This Project Liberty came out of an idea we had 2 months ago, because we can't put everyone on the board. We have a 12-member board. You know, eventually some of the members of the the Project Liberty are going to migrate to the board. We cannot have more than 25 members on the board, and we don't want to have just members. We want to create this team, Project Liberty team, and expand it and build on it, institutionalize the business, build for the next generation. See who from this group is going to take over the board one day. You know, I'm not going to be here forever. You know, I'm not one of those guys who are going to be here forever. So it's important to build that group to get the best and the brightest to take over one day. This is why we're doing this. Here we can have as many members as we want. 1,000 members, 2,000 members. I mean, we have to have a manageable amount, obviously. We can't go and, because each one has to have a voice, each one has to participate, each one has to come to the webinar. This is what we have to do. So having listened to that, I urge you, if you have people who think would benefit and would bring value to that group, please bring them along. I'll be more than happy to talk to them, stand to, coach them, etc. This is a school for empowerment, for wealth creation, for creativity. You know, we can't have each one an island by himself. It's very important. And we're building that. We already have 12 to 13 members in Project Liberty. Some of them did not show up, some of them will show up. The website is being revamped, by the way, to include everybody's member, all the members. We got the bios from a lot of them. So we're just starting this. But I urge you to look in the future. This could become, this can become as much as you want it to be at the end of the day. And we're all equal members here. I founded the organization, but I'm an equal member to all of you. My job, my goal is to really propagate this culture, these views, these ideas, create opportunity, create wealth. For me, this is the ultimate success, is empowerment. I made enough money. This is now my goal for the next 20 years, you know? So I urge you to do the same. You will be doing a favor for your friends. They will benefit, you will benefit. Think about a group of 1,000 people. We will become a self-contained group. We don't need anybody else because we're gonna cover all the industries, all the ranges, everything. What do you want? Technology, healthcare, fintech, finance, venture capital, it's all there. We're gonna have subgroups covering all these opportunities. Vlad is gonna build a subgroup of fintech. We have a guy by the name of Paul Bensea, he's on the board. He's gonna create a subgroup on the cannabis. Brett Shalkovsky is not here, he's also on the board. He's gonna create a group on venture capital, private equity, etc., etc. This is gonna be a self-contained powerhouse. Think about this. This is not a chit chat once a week, once a month about trends. It's much more than that. This is the foundation. This is a stepping stone. This is influence. This is how you create influence. Believe me, I know how to do it. You know, and I've learned a lot from branding experts like Raul, like others, how to do this. So please, I urge you to do that. Don't be shy. Don't be thin. This is our, you know, it's all in our hands. Sorry, Stan, go ahead, continue.
Right. So as a way of introduction, I'll try to keep my remarks short so that we can spend the last hour, you know, discussing the questions. But if you look at where we are today, you know, most of us who were born in the last half of the 20th century have lived in a picture perfect moment in history. This is a Shangri-La and it's disappearing. We have been blitzkrieged by evolutionary progress in the areas of agriculture, construction, communications, education, financial services, you name it, oil and gas production, technology, transportation. The world we have lived in has gotten cheaper, healthier, and most remarkably, faster. We subsist in a perfect storm, which has created peace, prosperity, and unimaginable riches for many of us in this capitalist Republic of America. The stock market has been producing a double-digit return for investors, even in moments of great national issues. But friends, The party is over, and it may be a long time before it begins again. Until very recently, the stock market seemed to defy gravity, producing these double-digit returns and providing many of us in America with financial comfort, even as everything around us seems to be crumbling. But world problems have finally crashed the stock market Mardi Gras. A pandemic, economic destabilization concerns, soaring inflation, food price increases, supply chain disruptions, exorbitant federal stimulus packages, the war in Ukraine have all prompted the Federal Reserve to raise the interest rate significantly in June by 75 base points to cover inflation. That doesn't seem to be working. And so it's suggested that in July, we're going to expect another 75 base point raise in the interest rate, which will throw the economy, or will definitely throw the economy into a recession. I'm not really very concerned about inflation because I know from my study of economics that in the short run, you can always control inflation through monetary policy. It can be controlled. With the war in the Ukraine, Myanmar, Syria, Yemen, Venezuela, Ethiopia, this has triggered one of the worst humanitarian crises in the history of the world. It has forced people to flee violence, there's persecution. There are mind-boggling 100 million people who have been displaced and economic damage has been done by these conflicts, which has caused a significant slowdown in global growth. The stock market, after soaring for years, has finally returned to earth. And also, it's problematic for the average citizen not to worry about America's future and its trajectory these days. There are threatening signs all over the place. Faith in American institutions is scraping the bottom of the barrel. Inflation is out of control, almost 8.6%. Nation's long-term finances are in a shambles. The national debt as of yesterday is $30.6 trillion. $30.6 trillion. I remember, 20 years ago going to work and I saw the clock of American debt and it said we were $40,000 in debt. And I thought to myself, that's a lot of debt. I owe $40,000. If you look at the same clock today, each and every taxpayer in the United States is on the hook and in the hole for $242,986 as of 2 o'clock today. Democrats and Republicans, they're at each other's throats. Our country is in a crisis. Yesterday, the Dow Jones closed at 31,077. Using inferential coupling and looking back to history, what we're going to expect is that the Dow should fall to somewhere in the area of about 14,500 which will return it to levels of 2007. The horizon looks grim. So we turn to you, Project Liberty Group members, to enlighten the FPC's various publics on the course of action for them to take in order to increase the return on investment, preserve their current profits, and mitigate the losses in this uncertain world. We also look, if you have, for solutions to these problems, because the problems need solutions and we need smart thinking people to get involved and to try to change what is going on. The forecast looks bleak. It's very important in this new world to be curious, to look deeply into things and to truly understand them from the bottom up rather than dismissing them out of the hand. Superior investing comes down to superior insight and the theses of risk and return. Knowing your own game, where the limits of your capabilities currently lie, having the mental strength, the guts and the cayunes to play inside those boundaries is what will contribute to successful investing. Investors have to do things that fit their personality, their makeup, and their mindset. It's not what you buy, it's not what you pay. Sound investing comes from buying things well and not necessarily from buying good things. So I know from personal experience and from working with people who have unexceptional and immodest economic wherewithal that we can increase our wealth by doing a few things. One, living within our means and methodically saving and investing money, ideally in tax-favored manners. Two, buying and holding globally diversified portfolios of stock. Three, building and investing in our own small business or in those of others, and investing in real estate and flipping properties. Not surprisingly, but the world's richest people have built their wealth largely through owning a piece of a successful company that they or others built. If you are confident in yourself, and you should be, there is no better way to become rich. Also, many well-off people have built fortunes by investing in real estate and in the stock market. If you understand and you are comfortable with risks and take sensible steps to diversify, then you can build a great amount of wealth. So let's start with the questions today. The first question, and I'd like to address this question to Stephen. Every business has to have an opportunity, every business has to have an operating plan, and every investor has to have targeted goals. How does a new investor go about establishing their investment goals and strategy to achieve them? Steve?
Well, it depends on how you phrase or look at the question, Stanford, but a lot of what we're doing out in this area, raising money, whatever you phrase for an investor, I tell people raising capital is simple. It's 3 words. Everything any entrepreneur ever needs to know about raising money is 3 simple words, which is capital follows customers. Every time I'm in a meeting, I was in 3 today, the first question invariably asks, who's your customer? Who's using it? You know, so I think all too often as entrepreneurs, we're guilty of chasing dollars without chasing customers. And so it's sort of the reverse engineering. Again, how do you target? Who's your customer? Why do they want your service? What will they pay for it? And getting early involvement it's a challenge when you're doing bigger enterprise stuff. But yeah, investment goals are difficult because it depends. If you're selling widgets, it's easy. If I sell 1,000 widgets at $35, I can do it. If you're selling a bigger solution where you have to discount in to get people early, it's almost like, and Ziad and these guys will know, it's like building a mall where you're trying to get your anchor tenant and you might cut a great deal to get the anchor tenant in and then everybody else follows. And those projections are difficult sometimes, but if the customer's on board, the rest of the capital situations gets a lot easier.
What advice would you give to somebody first entering a business or trying to start a business about establishing goals for themselves?
Before you start that, Stan, we're not seeing your face.
Mine?
Yeah.
Stanford's not there. Yeah. Yeah, on mine, Stanford, the question is, I'm a big proponent of soliciting negative information. If you walk in and say, oh, here's what I'm doing, and people give you platitudes and pat you on the back and tell you how great you are, when you go in the real world punches you in the nose. You know, your friends don't want to hurt your feelings. I want them to hurt my feelings. I want to solicit negative information. So I ask a lot of the people we deal with, you know, why won't this work? What am I missing? Who's my competition? You know, I think soliciting negative information in a positive framework helps the entrepreneurs accelerate through a lot of the objections, refine their messaging, and it encourages people to be a lot more honest than they might otherwise be if you're just trying to promote how great you think your idea is.
Stefan, how did you go about starting your business? How did you establish your goals? How did you get it off the ground?
I started retail stores in college when I was 18. because a friend of mine was selling watches out of his apartment. And I realized we could buy watches for $8, sell them for 35, and I could buy an apartment in Kansas City if I sold 10 watches. But I didn't have any money, so I convinced him to put the money up and told him I'd do all the work. And so a lot of times using other people's money is fine, but somebody still has to do the work. And then I learned a lot of the skill sets in Travelers Group. At 22, I went to work under Sandy Weil and Pete Dawkins. And I read 357 books, 6.5 years, developed a very specific system, trained about 8,000 salespeople. And the big break for me real quick was I started a company in 96. I wanted to sell a book online and I wanted somebody to build a website, which I'd heard of, never seen one, process credit card orders and send me checks. I want to talk on stage and cash checks. And it didn't exist. I went to 10 people I know, said, who do you know that can solve this problem? And 8 out of the 10 people all wanted to sell something on this thing called the internet. And it was Jim Rome, Brian Tracy, Michael Jordan. It was big guys that all had something to sell. So again, I've always been at the front edge. I don't know how to technically code anything. I know how to raise money, tell a story, and hire people to build things. I'm a glorified storytelling biz dev guy. I'm not an operations person.
So you take land, labor, and capital and produce profit from them.
I try to. Some of the buildings work, some fall down, some sit empty for a while. You never know which ones are going to work with luck, timing, and perseverance.
Thank you. Luke, you want to take it? How did you start your business, Luke? How did you set your goals? And how did you do your financing?
Where is Luke? There's no Luke here.
Luke said he had to step off. He was having, I guess, a company quarterly investor meeting. So he said he had to step off.
So Eric, how did you do it?
Through a lot of trial and error, and I'm still trying and I'm still making errors. So initially I started the business by helping out my father, just doing some general digital marketing and getting his business found online in our local area. And at that point, I kind of realized I had a knack for this. So as I went along, I started picking up more clients, started picking up referrals. That's where it really started. And then I started doing my own marketing, picking up more people. And actually, one of the biggest things that I realized was that although I will sit there and try to make everything happen, one of the first things I realized is it's a lot better to hire somebody who has the right knowledge and can do it faster and more efficient so that you can scale quicker. So that was definitely one of the first things I learned very early on, because I was sitting there trying to learn everything myself, trying to dig deep into the code, into all these different aspects. And I very quickly learned that I only have 24 hours in a day. So what are my 24 hours best used doing? So that was one of the first things. And then actually recently, after reading a couple different business books and then a couple specific niche books, I decided to make another pretty big change in regards to kind of what I look back now as a mistake, but the main service that all of my clients are looking for now is search engine optimization. And that's our bread and butter. And that's what we're really great at. So I'm also, again, sitting here wondering, why am I stretching myself so thin and trying to work on all these different aspects of web design, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, and all this different stuff, when this is my bread and butter. This is what everybody's looking for, and these are what my clients are asking for. So actually, just recently, in the past couple of months, we're completely transitioning the company from full-scale, full-stack digital marketing to specifically just SEO, local, national, and international. So in that process of where did I start and where am I going? Started by...
Look, let's make it very simple, okay? It's not that complicated. It's not rocket science. Let me tell you what's really the most important features. And I'm talking as a financier, financing these businesses and picking the right entrepreneurs. Most of the people are not entrepreneurs, don't have what it takes, and don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. You know? So, number one criteria, you have to pick up your team. Who is the team? Teams win. No one person can do it on his own. No one person is smart enough, no matter how many books he reads or she reads. You have to have the right team. A lot of people are so inept at social skills, they cannot pick up the right team. They're not capable of picking the right team. They want yes man. They don't want people who are smarter than them, or at least as smart, who can execute. You become the average. I had an interview recently that I shared with you of the 6 people closest to you. If they are game changers, killers, billionaire, you're going to become one. If they are losers, you're going to become one. This is it. This is the number one requirement, not the money, the team. And if some asshole tells you, you know what, I cannot join your company because I'm on a nice salary, don't use my name, because you know it's going to have repercussions on me, this asshole is not an entrepreneur. Drop him immediately. If you're not dealing with people who can operate without a net, who have brass balls and a real vision, this is no team. You have nothing, nothing to offer, nothing. And 99% of the people, honestly, have nothing to offer. It's all chit chat, nothing to offer. What about people come to me, I have a deal. Okay, I want to connect with you, Ziad. I thought, okay, what do you have to offer? You have a deal, you have a team, you have money. What do you have? Oh no, I'm working on it. Okay, keep on working on it. Once you find this, that's number one, the team. Once you have a team, it's easy to raise money. Or the team has to have some money before you even raise money. If the guy is not willing to put in, or the team skin in the game, or if they tell you, oh, you know, as yet I don't have the money, I tell them, okay, go find a job, make some money, do something before you start. Oh, I have sweat equity. I spent 3 years of my life to. This is bullshit. Sweat equity is bullshit. If you're not ready, willing, and able to put in cash, hard, cold cash, you and your team in that, nobody's going to believe in you. It's all bullshit. You're wasting everybody's time. Number one, team. Number two, people who have minimum resources to put in the deal as skin in the game. Number three, you go bootstrap it. You go start making revenue. You bootstrap your company. You start creating a track record. Ideally, in the team, you want people who have operated before and who have a track record. This will accelerate the funding process much faster. Ideally, this is what you want to have. People with a track record. For example, a lot of people come in here, you know, they are real estate developers. You know, like this guy who came to me a couple of days ago. Oh, you know what? I was an advisor to a developer. I learned a lot from the developer himself. Now I want to be a developer. Would you fund me? No, no. You're an advisor. All the advisors, consultants, bankers, economists, lawyers who want to be principals, no good. They've never operated anything. They don't have a track record, and most of them don't have any money, really. So you're wasting your time already. Deal is dead already. Deal is dead upon arrival. Team of operators. If you don't have them, find them. Network, find them. Sell them your vision as the founder. Bring them on board. Put money, skin in the game. Start operating. Get a track record. Then raise money. Now, the way you raise money, that's a different section or chapter. I'm not going to go and, but I'll tell you briefly. You don't have to raise money by raising debt and equity. No, you can raise money using the capital markets by creating, you know, we find ways to finance 95% of a deal with 5% only coming from the operator by listing this as a bond in the public markets. Now you have created your brand. Your brand now is not debt, bank debt, is a bond traded in the public markets where you can access much more capital. Look, it's the whole explanation. I don't think there is time here to talk about this, but a lot of the people forget the basics. This is the basics. It's not a question of how hard you work, and you overextend yourself, as Eric was saying. This is sucking all the oxygen. You cannot do it on your own. Number one, find the team. Make sure you have the vision. Make sure these guys have a track record. The rest comes flowing very easily, very easily. And this is after seeing tons of companies, small startups, buyouts, recaps, restructurings, everything. This is what it takes. It's the team, number one. The people, it's all about people. It's all about execution. It's all about people. Ideas, there's a dime a dozen. It's bullshit. They don't go nowhere. I have a nice idea. Who cares about your idea? If you don't have a team that can execute, if you don't have the funding behind you, keep dreaming. Keep dreaming. That's a reality.
Would anyone else like to jump in on this question, or should we move on to the next
And
question?
that's why, and that's why joining organizations like the Financial Policy Council, you know, building your network from real good people. I mean, give you an example. Right now on LinkedIn, everybody comes, oh, I'm going to set up for you meetings. I'm creating a thing on LinkedIn, which is the first company, artificial intelligence, that sets you the meeting based on your background on LinkedIn. Artificial intelligence. This is it. My biggest issue, my biggest focus in everything I do, funding deals, financing deals, is people. It's finding the right people, because there's so much crap, so much bullshit out there. 99% of the people on LinkedIn are full of shit. They don't have nothing. They haven't monetized anything. Oh, let me have 30,000 contacts. 30,000 contacts, you haven't monetized one. It's all bullshit. They're following you. I have 30,000 followers. But it doesn't mean nothing. You have to find the gem out there, the killer people who share your views. This is what I've created the Financial Policy Council. This is what the Financial Policy Council is about. I want to rally with you the best and the brightest and the smartest, who have real life experience, who built businesses and created wealth. Not go and talk about bullshit and stuff like that. I cannot emphasize enough the value of people. It's all about people. And people don't do that.
Anyone else want to respond to this question? Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Just pull it up. Given what we're going through with these economic times, where would you invest your money? Would you put that money in starting a business? Would you put it into the stock market? Would you go into real estate, mutual funds, ETFs, bond market? Would you upgrade your education? Would you pay down your consumer debt? Just what would you do at this point in time, given the current economic conditions, to properly allocate the money that you invest? Anyone want to take that question?
Yeah, I mean, I can go first. So I'm focusing a lot on Ethereum and Decentraland. Ethereum because it just has the most utility out of any of the currencies, and then Decentraland, I'm making the bet that the metaverse is the future. That may take many more years to pan out than what people are currently projecting, but eventually it will get there. And I'm also in the process of starting a metaverse real estate development company as well, because I'm a big believer in terms of where that space is going. So that's that. Well, that's a big part of my focus.
How important in the real estate, Raul, is where you buy that real estate? Real estate to some appears to be overpriced in some areas, underpriced in others. So how do you go about determining where to allocate the dollars if you're going to be putting it into real estate?
Well, so for me, the beauty with the metaverse is obviously real estate is cheaper there. You can do a lot of really cool, creative stuff with it. And, it's appreciated something crazy like 2,000% over the last 4 years. So I think that, we'll continue to see, we'll see a retraction at first because it probably grew too quickly. So there's going to be a retraction, but eventually long-term, I think it's going to pan out. So I think virtual real estate, if anyone's seen the movie Ready Player One, or if you just think about the Star Trek holodeck or any of these sort of things that have for a long time been where we talked about humanity going, I think we're within a decade of actually seeing significant adoption there. So I think anything in any of the main metaverse websites, Decentraland or Sandbox, is a good investment right now.
Harry, would you comment on investing overseas, investing in developing countries, in India, in China, areas that you have a good deal of expertise in? Did we lose Harry?
Harry, you are on mute.
Harry?
Harry, you are on mute.
Yeah, I asked him to.
Okay, well, when Harry comes back, he may have taken a potty break. Talking about investing in your own business, investing in your education, right? You said, Angela, that you were going back to school, that you had started a business. So talk to us a little about investing yourself, investing in your education, and investing in your business and changing your life.
I think going back to school it's not a one size fits all. I think our country and our culture is pushing 4-year degrees down the throats of every single high schooler when that's not the right path for a lot of kids. I'm not saying that it wouldn't have been the right path for me, but I made decisions early on, such as becoming a mom at 17, which changed the course of my life. I've weighed the idea of going back to school. And at this point in my career, what I'm doing in politics and also real estate, it wouldn't make sense. So what I've chosen to do instead is I've chosen to educate myself on a variety of issues by surrounding myself with people who are smarter than me, people who are experts in the field. I meet people for coffee. I'll buy them a coffee and ask them questions. I'll ask them for a phone call. I recently have done that with 2 people that are heavily involved in the cryptocurrency world, because that's something that I'm really trying to learn a lot about. And that's why I'm partially intrigued being on this Zoom call, because there are so many people that are already involved in that. So I think there's going to be a lot of learning just from being a part of this group, which I appreciate. But I have weighed the value of going back to school, and the cost is not, there's just no cost benefit at this point for me. So I'm just utilizing other avenues. But so far it's working, and I'll continue to try to learn from other people around me and read and things like that. So.
Thank you.
Can I ask Stephen to elaborate on his chat comment about Ethereum and what he's expecting from it?
I can, and we don't need to sidetrack it. Ethereum can't scale. They try, they keep forking it. The more apps you put on it, the slower it gets. The transaction gas fees are out of control. So Silvio's got Algorand, you've got Polymath, you've got Everscale. Ethereum's just not going to scale. Eventually the platform's going to collapse, and it'll be like Nortel modems that could never scale up. So Ethereum was a great platform, but it's not going to last. It's already collapsing on its own weight. Why would you run a $10 NFT on when it costs you $30 in gas fees to run something through? It's a completely unsustainable model. And the newer technologies are already replacing it.
I tend to agree with Stephen. And I very much agree also with what Angela said. Forget about education, all these big fancy degrees, bullshit degrees. Let me give you some points I follow when I invest in companies, and how do I invest? Number one, I invest in companies I believe in. Not because somebody said Goldman Sachs or Warren Buffett invested in this company, I'm going to go and follow. I'm no follower. I do my homework. Number two, I never pay too much. I bargain like hell on the company. Price and value aren't really the same. So I never pay too much because at the end of the day, I look at the exit. If I'm going to buy at 12 times earnings and sell it at 15 times earnings, that's not a good investment. Then I don't invest in anything that I don't understand. Okay, a lot of people go there because it's a fashion to invest in this and that, or that altcoin or that Bitcoin. I don't invest in something that I don't fully understand. I have to fully understand what I'm investing in. Also, I don't do a deal with someone I don't trust. Trust is everything. People is everything. Again, I cannot emphasize enough on people. There are very slick swindlers out there who come in with all kinds of proposition. They talk too fast. They're very aggressive. I tell them, bye-bye, thank you, no interest. I don't buy into a company unless I think it's really undervalued. We come back to the point before, don't pay too much. When the stock market goes down or the Bitcoin market goes down, they have these price dips. It's really an opportunity to increase the position. I increase. I've been owning Bitcoin for a long time. You know what? Look, at the end of the day, it's really during the hard times that you see that, you know, this is how you differentiate the big boys from the rookies. The winners and losers get exposed. It really doesn't take a high IQ or fancy degree to be successful because knowledge is more valuable. Look, at the end of the day, really, you are your own best asset. This stuff I follow diligently. I don't care what the experts say, what I read here and there. I do my homework. A lot of people invest in companies or Bitcoins or stocks or this without really doing their homework. I mean, they've done very little homework on that. You're not buying some furniture. You're not buying something like that.
Mine's Ziad. I get asked a lot of questions like this. Like somebody will come to me and say, should I invest in Bitcoin? And I say, it depends. What's your risk strategy? Is your risk strategy low risk, medium, or high? You know, it's like the difference between investing in New York Stock Exchange, low risk, NASDAQ is medium, OTC pink sheets are high risk, and grays, like there is no one size fits all, and it depends on your risk strategy. So to me, my investment strategy is simple. Investing to me, I do technology mutual funds and dollar cost average in an account that I haven't looked at in 15 or 20 years because I don't want to know what's there. I might withdraw it out. Everything else to me is speculative. I was in Ethereum early. We were out where like the speculative things to me are whether it's crypto or whether it's penny stocks or whether it's, you know, pre-sale into an IPO. Investing and speculating to me are just a little different. A single asset class is speculating whether you think you're investing or not. You know, but the crypto stuff to me is simple. Crypto's glorified penny stocks. It just depends on what level you get in, what your risk profile, and where you get access to it.
Thank you. Ali.
Look, I'd like to add something. I'd like to tell you what I'm investing in right now. Okay, what I'm also showing some investors. This is an unbelievable play, which very few people are aware of because it's not anywhere in the news or anything. This is little secret out there. It's basically, you know, I run a trade platform. It's basically trading bonds and MTNs, medium-term notes. We go and invest a lot of money and we raise money from people who want to go into our trade programs. Trade programs we offer gives you 5% profit a month, guaranteed principal and interest. It's AAA rated piece of paper. It's super liquid. It's trading on Bloomberg. Right now, we're doing an issue for a very big German bank. It's trading at 145. This gives you 5% profit a month, 60% a year. I don't want to go into details into that, but this is something I'm heavily involved in. It's consistent. It's liquid. It's AAA rated. It's public. It's not subject to the vagaries of the market because we own the whole issue. It's not trading in the market. You cannot go and buy this on the market. You only can buy it through us, through investing in our program. We're asset managers of that issue and of many other issues. So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff, this is a lot of people who are in the stock market, in Bitcoin market, sold their position and coming into that. Now, 60% a year, 5% a month is not shabby. It's not 1,000% like a Bitcoin, but it's not speculative. It's a conservative way of going into that. There is a minimum investment because this is only for the super wealthy. And this is how the real wealthy really make their money, through investing into programs like that, not stock market. Look at recently, a lot of billionaires are selling their stocks, even stocks in their own companies. You know, Bitcoin, I don't see any resurgence of Bitcoin before November of this year. It's going to hover to this and even go down. People are saying about Bitcoin going down to 9,000. And anyway, if I want to invest in that, the Bitcoin is not the place to be. There's some specific altcoins I would go to. You cannot make that much money. It's like you're buying a company at 12 times the earnings, selling it at 15 times. It's gone were the days where you can make 5,000% on that. Yeah, if you're an investor in 2011 or 2000, I mean, some guy came to me in 2011 and told me to buy Bitcoin. Yeah, I took a shot. I bought a significant chunk, just took a shot, but I knew I could afford losing this. So it's not that, oh, and you know, Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs said, oh, this is a, even Warren Buffett, it's a scam. So what, I'm gonna listen to them? They have an agenda. Their agenda. They go start accumulating this shit, and then they sold it. Everybody who's selling you something like that has an agenda. Don't forget, they don't care about you if you make money or not. They have an agenda. So you have to really be very careful and do your own homework, do your own research. And how do you do your own research? Mostly the people who are trading this, the people who own this. I get to know the people running the exchanges, from Genesis to everywhere, to Coinbase, to everything. I need to know. I'm going to invest in an exchange by buying coins on people I don't know. Now you tell me, how did I get to know them? You know, I use my network to get to know them. It's all about people. I'm not going to put a dime in something I don't understand. You know, if I don't have the management, even if it's a public stock, I don't invest because Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway invested in that. Or like these guys who come in here, oh, you know, there's this big VCs or buying into these deals. Would you want to tag along? And why the hell do I want to tag along? To make them more money, more power, because their brand is bigger than mine? This is so stupid. You know, the problem is that people don't teach you this anywhere. There's no financial education in this country. There's none. They teach you algebra, geometry. Who cares? What are you going to do to the chemistry and the algebra for? You know, the basic stuff is not taught. So it's basically people following people. And that's how they lose money.
Ziad, it's very hard to find definitive information that's unique about companies.
You find the information by, as Angela was saying, by talking to other experts, by networking, by people. It's all people. I emphasize it again and again and again and again. It's all people. I've built a very big network of people, experts, and I get them into the deals. I invest in them, I get them into the deals. It's all people. You know, it's not like, oh, it's an interesting technology or a big interesting play. Or you can have an A product and a B team, or an A team or B product. Who's behind it? Who came with it? How much skin do they have in the game? What track record do they have? Who they are, who they know? You know?
Yep.
What are their policies? What are their strategies? People don't ask these questions. They go blindly because the Wall Street Journal said that, or because some guy came on CNBC and said that, who has an agenda, who manages maybe billions of dollars. So we have to follow him because he said that.
I'd like to ask Ali about her investing in the cannabis industry. You're an insider. What is your perspective about people looking to invest in cannabis during the economic crises that we're now experiencing?
Obviously not a ton of my background is in cannabis specifically. It's mostly in hemp, which the two things, there's a lot of things that coincide with inside of them. I don't think that, either one of those are going to go away. It's proven over and over again that these industries are recession proof and have been, decidedly considered imperative businesses. And, even when they tried to shut them down during COVID, that didn't go very well. So, these are, I feel like those are, they're going to remain very safe areas to continue to invest in. And it's going to be a lot of companies that come up with strategies, whether they're investing in companies that are completely vertically integrated, or if they're people that are just selling products. Are you white labeling products? Are you selling them for other people? Which I think is going to get a little bit more dicey for a little while. People who have just excellent, they have the manufacturer, they have the products already, they're just, looking to slap a different business on it. That might be a little different for a little bit. Marketing is going to look different as to where they're spending that kind of money. They can't dump, hundreds of thousands of dollars into marketing like a lot of these companies used to be able to. So it's going to be, a lot of it is, similar to what Eric does and what he kind of looks at, or just, in the strategies of where is the best place to put the money for these companies? What do they have? Is it best to take on a bunch of partners or different investors at this point versus just bootstrapping the company? If you're not bringing it in, don't put the product out, and kind of in keeping up with what the, state legislations are for each one of those industries, because they do kind of vary. Again, there's similarities, but it's, about who owns the licenses and who owns the distilleries and who owns the, processors and things like that. So it's kind of, it can go either way, but I think that it's safe to say that both those industries are going to remain investable.
Is it a good investment? And who are going to be the winners looking 5 to 10 years down the pike when all of the regulations have been changed and the United States government removes marijuana from a schedule that it has currently?
Yeah. If I knew the answer to that, I would be a lot richer of a person. But I can tell you that obviously before, there's always going to be the top 5 companies that were there, like in the, alcohol industry and stuff like that. So that were there at the beginning. So the ones who are the most established and obviously are participating well within the regulations, those are going to be the ones that, last the longest. But I don't know what it looks like for the federal legalization so far of cannabis. I do think it's inevitable, but it with how it keeps getting stalled in different levels in the process, I'm not sure how far off it's going to be. But like, I really do, these industries are growing exponentially. You're seeing different interests switch from products to products, whether it's how it's consumed, whether it's a vape or an edible, so on and so forth. I think that'll kind of continue to evolve. But and so a lot of the companies that also aren't dealing with the actual products like THC, where they're just selling the product over state lines and not dealing with, how much is in each product, things like that, are going to do pretty well.
Thank you. Vladimir, are you there?
I'm here.
With what's going on in the world today, tell us about investing in fintech. Where would you put your money? Who are going to be the winners? How is fintech responding to all of the changes that are going on in supply chain, a dislocation of people, rising interest rates? Where do we make our money in fintech?
Well, so there's a lot of movement of money, let's put it this way. So we realized early on at mBank that we can be basically the plumbers, right? We can do everything that nobody else wants to do, which is connecting the things, right? So we make the flow of money appear seamless, right? Appear easy to perform. But actually, there's a lot going on at the background, right? So we focused on the infrastructure behind payments. We focused on the infrastructure behind general banking operations. So, and we found that our type or our flavor of fintech nowadays appears to be very much in high demand. So irrespective of whether the markets are going up or down, there's still a lot of movement, right? In fact, actually, we benefit from volatility. When there is a lot of activity in the market, irrespective of whether it's going up or down, it seems to benefit fintech quite immensely. So, so since then, I would say since beginning of COVID, the whole fintech industry has received quite a substantial boost. There's a lot of investment going on. We just closed another substantial investment from a public company, literally just a few days ago, 3 days ago. So there's a lot of investment taking place in fintech, and there's a lot of activity in fintech. We've been closing a new client almost every week since the beginning of the year, and that's for banking as a service here in the United States. Our largest and one of the most prominent clients in the US is one of the top 3 crypto exchanges. They own a financial institution which we run for them.
Okay.
So ultimately, right. So ultimately,
Which, by the way, earlier when I said that we basically have potentially the world's first bank platform with digital assets inside,
right.
We're
very much
using
in high
MBank
demand.
because I've known Lars for years. So
Oh,
MBank,
awesome.
yeah, it's a private label bank solution that will stick our technology in and lets us move our valuation up to run throughput. So I love the MBank team. We know like 6 or 7 guys that use them.
Yeah.
It's a really cool solution and lets you move into the market really quickly.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Yeah, so I think our flavor of fintech has been quite in high demand, to be honest. You know, like, I mean, do I personally invest in crypto? Not really, but at the same time, if I have extra money right now, I would grow the team. I can also tell you that our biggest growth area geographically has been India and Cambodia. So India right now is our fastest growing office. So as far as the resources are concerned, we found ourselves in a very precarious position, I would say, about 12 months ago. Best developers somehow disappeared from the market, right? And I'm not sure if you feel the same, but we just couldn't find resources and we were absolutely stuck. And so we started investing in places kind of slightly further out. So India and Cambodia. So India right now is our fastest growing office, not the market yet, but the office, and followed by Cambodia. So that's where we are. And Stephen, thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. Harry, are you back? Harry?
Yes.
So the question, Harry, was you have a lot of experience working in the Indian and in the Chinese markets. How should someone diversify their investments, or should they, by investing in China and in India?
So right now, focusing more on India because there's a lot of issues with the China in alliance with the Russia, whatever the war going on. So the people are looking at India right now, but the money is also flowing out of India to some other places. So I'm focusing on the future technologies right now. We just recently launched a Metaverse Global Fund, looking into the Metaverse technology to solve the problems in the health, education, and energy, and leading into smart cities. That's where I'm raising the capital for. So that's what I'm working on.
Harry, do you work with Vlad at all? When a part of being on the board of the FBC is that we collaborate with each other. So
yes, in fact, I messaged him a few minutes ago to get on a call to work together, and I'm looking for some. I would like to ask you guys. I'm looking to recruit few investment bankers to help us to do 2 things. One is to raise capital for us, and also to put into IPO or some kind of M&A for some of our portfolio companies that are just ready to exit.
As Ziad said earlier, everyone, it's important that we network, that we're a group of high-powered entrepreneurs, and by networking, we can all expand our businesses and grow together. So it's important that we communicate with one another, and I'm glad to see that, Harry, that you and Vlad are doing this. Next question I have, let me just pull that up. My question is a broker. I haven't heard anyone here say, I do my business through a broker. So is this something that people should consider getting a broker to work with them to let somebody else, as they say, drive the car for them? Or should we be doing our own investing? And if the answer is you should be using a broker, how do you select one? Steve, want to comment on that?
Well, there are different. Well, there are different classes.
I'm the
of-
wrong person to ask, unfortunately, Stanford, because I was running too fast during the crypto stuff. We had a lot of Bitcoin. I had a lot on my own, and I got aggressive because BTC wasn't moving. The altcoins were moving higher. And I got social engineered off Facebook through a fake profile, got introduced to a quote broker, interviewed the broker, started transferring money into a trade platform that looked identical to plus 500, saw the trades going amazing, earning 300%, kept putting more in, and I lost 54 Bitcoin in a fake trade platform through a fake broker. So I thought I had done my due diligence. I interviewed the broker. The platform looked legitimate. And I'm in cyber sleuth recovery trying to find the guys, which is damn near impossible. So I'm sure there's reputable brokers out there, but I'm not the best guy to ask on how to find one.
Have you ever worked with a broker, Ziad?
Well, it depends. Okay, there are different classes of brokers. Those who are a chain of brokers, avoid them. And most of the bad ones come as a chain. They have like 4 or 5 brokers, they want to divide fees. So it becomes a mess. These guys kill the deals because all what they care about is their commission. When people start talking about signing an NDA and an MFPA, Master Fee Protection Agreement, without even knowing what the deal is, have a nice day. You know, these guys are not here to do a deal. So it really depends. When you're dealing with an individual broker, that's a different story. Who knows what he's on? You see, look, at the end of the day, the broker should be a deal maker, not a messenger. A lot of guys, you come and tell them, okay, this is what under the terms I would do the deal. They tell you, I can't do anything. I'm just the messenger. This guy is already dead. You know, this is it. Unless the guy, because usually these people are very misinformed, not well informed about the deal, about the details of the transaction. These guys cannot make a deal happen. They kill the deal, and they're too much obsessed with their fees and their commissions. Doesn't work. So on a rare occasion you use them, but they have to be really at par, up to the job, being able to really do it in a very professional, constructive way. Most of them don't. Most of them are not licensed. Most of them don't understand the transaction. They are brokers. And that's the case of death. Never happens. Most of them are just messengers.
Okay, thank you, Ziad. In the last 10 minutes, I'd like to, hear all of you talk a little about what your perception of what is going on in America and the world. Are there really any solutions to these problems? When you see us, or when you would project that many of these problems are going to be over, should we be concerned about supply chain issues? Will they be resolved shortly? Should we be concerned about China and its relationship with Russia and the alliance being reformed? Is America going to continue as the city on the hill? And are we going to be the policeman to the world? And is the world going to change, and is America going to change? So why don't you give me your perceptions on that? And I'm going to start with Hiba. Since you can look at this from a perspective from someone who's in Europe and are not in America. What are your thoughts on this and how do you perceive what's going on, Eva?
Yeah, Stan, I'm actually worried about what's happening around the world, especially in Europe. However, from my point of view, I'm seeing like Putin is now moving the chess, like he's ruling really hard, especially in Europe now. So, and I don't feel like there's a 24-hour solution. So if you are looking for solutions, like you're talking about supply chain, even in Europe, they are suffering. In Germany now, they are really panicking. They don't know whether they will get gas to heat the country, They have this problem. They have problem how to feed also their people. So do you think it's only the problem that now Ukraine is under the attack of? So I don't believe that there's something logical here. So this is inevitable for me and we can't control it. So at least let's control what's happening like now. I don't know, but it's really embarrassing to say like they are taking some laws into the light, like now the abortion in the States. So do you think this is really important more than talking about the infrastructure, about the crisis, the real crisis that the country is passing through? So that's what I compare between Lebanon and these, what we call the third countries, and as state or America, the greatest country in the world. So here is the question: how can we make America great again? You remember this. So we have to work hard because we all love America. That's the dream of every person, every human maybe being, because we have seen and witnessed America and the best thing, like whether in economy, businesses, education, and everything. So we want this to be back. We don't want China or Russia to rule the world. And about the cryptos, what's happening with NFTs and cryptos and whatever, I don't know how the world will go, but it's definitely going digital and automated. It was really interesting to know that today Dubai is hiring, but the interviews are all automated and it's all online. So there are no people, humans, to talk to the person who is like admitting or submitting his CV. So imagine where are we going? So it's scary a little bit.
Thank you, Eva. Stefan, you're a man of the world. You travel, you speak to a lot of people. Where are we going? What's going to happen? Are you optimistic, pessimistic? What are your thoughts for the next 6 months to the next year?
Mine, and I appreciate it, Stanford. Yeah, I'm in Dubai now. I was just with Minister of Economy people yesterday. I tend to take a much more 5, 8, 10-year conspiratorial view of what the worst is that can happen that I have to be prepared for. So this concept around central digital bank currencies, whether things go digital, is not about the efficiency, it's about governmental control. If we go to a digital dollar that's programmable, the government will have complete control of your dollars. If the government forces companies to do direct deposit, your debit card's already digital money, it's not programmable. If your dollars become programmable, if the government's going to give you free healthcare and they don't want you smoking cigarettes or buying hemp, they're going to turn your money off. China's control as central digital has nothing to do with currency. It has completely to do with control. The government in the US is looking at it for inflationary manipulation of monetary policy, and then I'm watching this Uganda gold thing, which I think is a complete scam. With all of the gold that was found in Uganda, China's going to mine it, but they're going to tokenize it to claim gold's in the ground and never bring it out. If you flood the market with gold, you depreciate the gold to the dollar, they'll collapse 40 countries whose currency is tied to the value of gold. So the short-term recession stuff now is challenging, supply chain's challenging, I'm trying to figure out where the puck's going 8 or 10 years from now and how not to get screwed by what's going to happen.
What are your thoughts? Ali, you're a mother. You looking for a better future for your child? Where do you see America going this year?
And there it is. You know, I think that's probably, unfortunately, I think that is every parent's weak area, is going to be thinking and worrying about where our kids' future is going to be, which sometimes feels pretty futile. And it's not something that feels, you know, preventable. So obviously doing the best that you can to prepare your kids for whatever that inevitable future looks like, I feel like is a much larger priority. And that kind of takes a huge hand into education. What are we educating them about? Are these useful skill sources? Are they things that they're going to be able to rely on in the future? Is a pretty big conversation. And obviously for a couple generations in now, beyond my generation, or, you know, now coming after us, is there's not a lot of useful skill sets. So I really do think that education does have to take a certain level of priority of what we're looking at, especially for us as a country. But yeah, there's a lot to be said with what our infrastructure is doing and what they're suffering with. Even the most basic of things like travel and things like that, with our own infrastructure is pretty, it's on scary ground. And if we're not able to travel and we're not able to educate, and we're not able to do those types of things, then yeah, it can look pretty bleak. But
Optimistic?
I do think that we have to kind of invest in what we can.
Are you optimistic or pessimistic for America for the next year, next 5 years?
I tend to be pretty hopeful. I think next year is going to be very rough. I do think, though, that within the next 5 years, if we continue to focus on companies that are actually focusing on innovation and really making that their main goals, and really, and you know, in technology and in tech in that way, then I think the next 5 years will look a lot better.
Thank you. Thank you. Sean, what do you think?
To the topic that Ali was just saying about education, I think it also goes to just educating the people. And we have a lot of situations here in America that we now are facing inflation. Well, we did print a ton of money, and we did shut down production, or at least slow down production tremendously. And both of those things would, a lot of economists would say, would cause inflation. So I think now sitting here in it, it shouldn't really be shocking. That's not really the conversation that occurs to the general public. So when we talk about what this group is for and expanding out to 1,000 people and this, I think education and spreading that word and trying to get that out is definitely an important thing, because in America, we do somewhat take it for granted, just the rarity that America was when it started. And now there was so much discussion about the Greek Republic when America first started. And now we've actually lasted longer than the Greek Democratic Republic. And that's an incredible thing. So we're almost on borrowed time. So to try to work that out, to Stefan's point, I guess I slightly have some pessimism, but pessimism and preparation, to your point, is the goal. And right now, trying to diversify incomes, diversify how you're getting your messages out there, because things can be shut down with one foul swoop of saying the wrong thing, and working perhaps in different countries and looking at currencies other than the dollar. I guess that's it.
Thank you. Thinking about what's going on in America and in the political arena, what is, as you see it, going to happen in midterm elections? And Angela, please comment from your political experience and what you're hearing about what's happening in midterm and how that's going to affect America.
Well, I'll try to keep this short and sweet. Because I'm a political operative, I do have a bird's eye view. I think that the immediate future is very grim. And I say that with humility. I'm usually an optimist, but right now I do not see things, I don't see much turning upward until we have a change in leadership, and a change in leadership on all levels, federal, state, local. I do think we will have a change in leadership, but when you talk about capitalism, what we're seeing in America, we're seeing the train coming. I have a lot of friends that came to America from the former Soviet Union and the Bloc countries. They see socialism on the horizon. If we don't stop that, we will lose a lot of our freedoms. And we've already been seeing that. Our freedom has already been under attack in many different ways. Education, public education is down the tubes. We're no longer teaching math and writing and reading and the sciences. We're teaching other things. While we're busy trying to figure out what gender we are, Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea are bolstering their militaries. They're collecting precious metals. They're creating a society that is committed and loyal to their mission. And America is on the hit list. Whether all of us want to admit that or not, we are. America has been that great experiment. As to Sean's point, most republics have been toppled by now. So we've outlived a lot of these republics. And I don't know how much time we have to turn things around, but I do believe there's a sense of urgency and we all need to do our part. And I think this group advocating for capitalism is part of that effort to save our country, frankly.
Thank you.
Look,
Ziad.
I'd like to add something to what Angela said, and she's right on the money. You know, I can't help wondering, where are the modern day Churchills, Reagans, JFKs, Thatchers, and Trump? The world is confronted with the murderous advancing of Putin's war machine in Ukraine. The G7 nations are teetering on the verge of economic chaos. We have soaring energy prices, world food shortages, and all these world leaders can talk about is green energy. I mean, this is ridiculous. I had warned many times that if Biden became president, the biggest winners would be China and Russia. I think our worst fears have been realized. I think it's going to be very, very bad and very grim in the next 2 years until the House, the Senate, and the White House are taken back. It's all about money, power, and control. That's what it is. The one who's going to change the world are those who take power and who have a very specific agenda as to bring America first.
Ziad, but that doesn't mean that there isn't an opportunity to make bundles of money. Is that correct?
Okay, I'm just answering your question here. Now, regarding making money, absolutely. I mean, the thing is that, you know, we make money whatever the market is up or down, and you have to think about it this way. Because at the end of the day, again and again, it's not about the industry. When you ask, what do you think about this industry, the cannabis or the Bitcoin, nothing to do with the industry. But who are the people on top of it executing in the industries? Who are the power brokers in these industries? In general, I'm an optimist. I believe in the human spirit. I believe in the human potential. As long as you learn from your mistakes. But people are not learning from their mistakes. They're doing more mistakes, the revolving door, more stupid people going back and forth. You never learn from your successes, you learn from your failures. Look, at the end of the day, for us FPC people, it's not how smart you are. There are a lot of smart people out there. It's not how rich you are. There are a lot of rich people out there. You know, there are a lot of companies like that too. It's how you gather intelligence and pick the right people on your team to act upon it. Business is war. I've been saying it on and on again. It's not a hobby. It's not a 9-to-5 job. It's not a walk in the park. It's not about the economy in general. It's what you make out of it. You create your own fiefdom your own SWAT team, you gather your own intelligence and you go and strike. Where the market is up, the market is down. Down, you go short. Other stuff, you do other things. You're nimble. You don't listen to all these guys. You're nimble. I gave you the 10 points I follow. Yeah, you have to be very much like this. And remember, overnight success is 15 years, you know, and be absolutely relentless. The problem also, another problem is that a lot of people, they give up too fast. They give up too easily. Be relentless because you're going to find a lot of obstacles, and 99% of the people will give up. They will give up. They will bitch and moan again, or they will praise this guy or that guy. They haven't done any homework. That's what it is. It's very bleak. I am totally for, you know, radical changes. We need radical changes. You don't cure cancer by putting a Band-Aid, but by extracting. That's what it takes. You don't cure the, I mean, frankly, there was never a policy under Biden. All what he did is undo what the previous president did. No policy. There's no policy. Never been a policy. Undo whatever Trump did. That's it. And for him, that's the achievement. Well, you know what? We're going to have to undo what Biden did and educate a whole new generation as to be self-sustaining cash flow machine, not relying on anyone because they don't care about you. Unfortunately, they took over, they hijacked this population, the younger people, by giving them easy solution, handouts, you know, socialism. And people are biting on that because that's easy. Everybody wants the easy way. So I totally agree with Angela on this, and I took it even one step further. And we should take, Angela should bring in more people to the thing, who think like this, you know, like us. And I'm sure you know a lot, because all of them are sick and tired of this bullshit, you know, and they want to do something. This is the group where we can do something and where we can talk freely without afraid of, you know, what our people are going to think and being canceled. I mean, you know, we talk freely here. We don't give a shit. And we do things. And that's what it is. It's all about money, power, and control. He who controls the thing calls the shots. So either you want to be part of that group or you're screwed.
Or another option is you can all have your own groups also. You know, one of the things
Yeah,
that
you have your own groups within this group. Absolutely.
absolutely.
We can have a group on cannabis. We can have a group on with you, Alicia. We can have a group on fintech with Vlad, etc., etc.
Yes. I think it's important that we all do something, but a solution to problems doesn't happen by sitting on your hands. Problems get solved.
Not sitting on your hand and talking and having these webinars. This is just for the foundation. It's really by doing something and being proactive. I mean, think about it. If each one of you at the next webinar bring in 3 members, 3 people do that. This is how we expand. We will snowball. It's a snowball effect. And that's how it is. And once you start seeing it, you start seeing real results. Enough talk, enough bullshit.
If you would like to do that, Ziad and I are here to back you up if you need help.
Yeah, of course. And I'm always available. You want me there for call for, you want me to do a pitch with people? Yeah, we'll do it for sure.
Let me just say that I think that today's session was very enlightening. I thank you all for your participation. It's now 10 minutes after 6, so we're a little over time. We're planning for the next group session to be held in mid-August. Ziad and I will get back to you with all of the details and the next topic.
Next group session, the goal is to have at least 25 attendees. Okay, we're not having a webinar if we have less than that. So it relies on me, on Stan, but also on each one of you. You know, 25 attendees, and the group after 50, 100, whatever it is. This is how it is. It has to be a snowballing effect.
Ziad, if we have a town hall meeting, we're going to have to get you a stage so you can stand up in the middle.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you all for.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Guys, we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.